On this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, we're going to discuss the top 10 safety tips of the workplace, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. If you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most that you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people that are in this industry are very busy, we know time is money and each episode will be as short and as to the point as possible. Now with that said, let's get to the podcast. Safety training. The first tip sounds like common sense, but before you can practice safety and productivity, you have to know what's expected. And that means being trained by your facility's safety team and staying up to date on new developments and practices. It also means being proactive and looking for ways to constantly improve on the 6S methodology of your facility. And if you're unaware of what that is, be sure to listen to episode 1 of our podcast. Be aware of your surroundings. We just mentioned being proactive, and that brings us to the second tip of the top 10. And that's something very similar to the campaign that's also part of safety. And that's if you see something, say something. But instead of being limited to suspicious activity and items, this version would be more related to being responsible for the degree of safety around you. So if you see something that needs attention, let your safety team know about it. And then we'll revisit this idea with a broader view at the end of our top 10. Preventive maintenance. Our third tip is one of those areas many think of as common sense, but in the long run is one of the most important areas, and that's prevention. An overwhelming amount of issues can be avoided with just an ounce of prevention. This prevention can come in the form of not participating in, reporting, and or not condoning horseplay, assuring maintenance is being kept up on the tools and machinery that you're responsible for, and or something as simple as making sure there's a place for everything and everything in its place. Pride in your work. E.L. James is quoted as saying, "If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well." Taking pride in your work goes hand in hand with safety, and it's our fourth tip. Incidents are unlikely to occur when you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Safety equipment. Our fifth tip makes sure that you and everyone around you are always wearing and utilizing the proper safety equipment. This includes, but in no means is limited to, hard hats, gloves, uniforms, lockout, tagout equipment, braces, steel-toed boots, glasses and goggles, and harnesses. Before continuing on with our top 10 safety tips, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and or products related to safety. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. What makes Mighty Line the superior choice in keeping your facility safe and productive? Mighty Line tape is the strongest tape on the market and has a beveled edge that increases durability for industrial brush scrubbers, forklifts, and heavy industrial wheel traffic. With easy installation and removal thanks to Mighty Line's peel and stick backing, you can apply and reapply it during installation and it leaves no sticky residue if you need to remove it. This allows the ability to change workflow areas quickly and easily, and you don't have the downtime that's associated with painting or using floor markings that leave behind a mess when you remove them. Mighty Line tape is 7 times thicker than the average safety floor tape. Mighty Line signs and markings come in a variety of shapes, colors, and sizes. And if they don't have what you're looking for in stock, their Customize It program allows you to create exactly what you're looking for. Mighty Line offers a limited 3-year warranty on their floor signs and markings. And last but certainly not least, Mighty Line products are patented and proudly made in the USA. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Again, go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. Now, back to the podcast. Safety practices. Tip number 6 picks up where the equipment of tip number 5 left off, and that's with safety practices. Again, this includes but in no means is limited to proper lifting techniques to avoid injuries, paying close attention to safety tapes and signs, and just simply staying alert. Job knowledge. Tip 7 sounds a lot like tip number 1, but think of it as a one-off situation. Tip 1 dealt with knowing the safety and productivity procedures of your facility. Tip 7 deals more with specifics of individual jobs and tasks. You should make yourself aware of all the safety rules, procedures, and potential hazards before starting a job that you haven't done before. Authorized access. In tip number 6, we mentioned lockout tagout equipment. And in tip number 8, we discussed making sure that you're only in areas you have authorized access to. This includes access related to duties, security level, and/or knowledge. In essence, stay where you're supposed to be at all times. Cleanliness and organization. When it comes to safety and productivity, tip number 9 covers the order you maintain via keeping things clean and organized. This step is absolutely paramount, assuring that there's no tripping or slipping hazards and everything is stored in ways that will avoid harm to your staff and your equipment can be half the battle in keeping you and your facility safe. We're all in this together. As mentioned in the beginning of our top 10, we said tip number 10 would have a broader view of tip number 2. Whereas tip number 2 is based off of a personal view of safety in the workplace, tip 10 lets us know that we're all in this together. It's like the old saying, many hands make light work. The same is true of safety. When you make it the goal of your facility and its staff to have the backs of everyone involved, safety becomes a shared effort. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode. Thanks for listening to episode 3 of Warehouse Safety Tips, and have a safe day.